G'day boot campers, it's Yosti here. Happy hump day and welcome to number 3 of our online strength training program. Guys, before we kick into action, can I just say how impressed I am and how stoked I am to see you guys smashing out these workouts, loving the comments, loving to see how you guys are doing on each one of the programs. It's just awesome. So awesome to see, but also thank you for your support. Thanks for sticking around and looking after us, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guys, as we get into today's strength program, focusing on our deadlifts and our push patterns, you need a couple of bits of kit. Of course, we're going to utilize our good old bags that we've been using all week or all last week and so forth. We're going to use those again. Make sure they're double bagged if you've got a bit of weight in them. And also we'll need a chair and a good old broomstick to help us with today's session. Anyway, guys, let's get into it. Okay guys, we're going to get into our mobility warm-up followed by our activation series. Keep your broomstick handy because we're going to utilise this broomstick as part of some of these exercises. So to kick things off, let's get some hip circles happening. So nice shoulder width stance, pushing right out and around, working a set of 5 one way, really exploring those end ranges as we move right down into the front and pushing right back. Nice steady reps, 5 one way, 5 the other, of course. Then I want you to grab your broomstick. We're going to do some arm circles with the broomstick, very similar to our band circles that we do. So just grab with the forefinger and the thumb, and from here we take it over the top, touch the backside, bring it back through. We're going for a set of 10 here. Just be mindful of your posturing. So as we take the band over the top, I don't want you to arch that back. I want you to keep that tall posture, keeping that rib cage down. Basically, the closer your hands are together, the harder it is. Oh, that's probably the limit for me, working in that spot. So once again, find that ideal distance, set of 10 reps, touching the front of the hip and then over to the backside. Then I want you to place that bar or that broomstick on the shoulders. We're going to rotate from one side to the other, keeping the hips locked down, so we're not rotating through the hip. We're keeping it nice and steady as we move from one side all the way to the other. Working for a set of 10 reps, holding steady, keeping those hips locked, seeing how far we can rotate. Set of 10 before we place that stick just over to the side. And then from there, shoot those feet right out and we're windmilling, reaching down to touch that opposite foot. Just be mindful when we do our windmills that we want to push back with the hips and keep the chest up. So we're not just rounding and touching our feet this way. We keep the chest up, we're looking up, pushing back into the hammies and touching that opposite foot for a set of 5 per side, 10 total. Then we're going to go into some lunge reaches, keeping that reach pattern happening. So extending out as I lunge backwards, right leg, right hand up, left leg, left hand up. Actively pressing the hand. Remember, you don't want to just lazily just lift your arm up. You want to actively reach and press to the sky. Set of 10, 5 per side. Then we're going to take it down to the ground. Just setting up so that the hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. We're pushing back up into cat and then down into cow. Good old cat cows. Keep the arms straight the whole time. So you don't want to see the bend in the elbow as we go. We want to keep the elbows locked. Looking up, pushing down, squeezing the shoulder blades together as I look up, and then pushing them apart as I bring the knee, I should say, my chin into my chest. Nice and steady for 10 reps. And then hold a nice strong middle position as I extend into some bird dogs. Right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot. Try to get a nice straight line from that head all the way through the body. Minimize how much we're lifting the leg and the arm up. Think about pushing the hand and the foot away from each other. Leading out with the heel at the back, not the toes. Too, as we go. Set of 20 with this one, 10 per side. will then take us into some stepping rock backs. So into that high plank position, step through, rock it back. Remember, you can drop the knee to the back or drop the knee to the ground at the back to make it a little bit easier. 10 steps, 5 per side, then straight into laying the leg over, sinking down, lifting the chest, arms nice and straight. Also for a set of 5 per side, 10 total. Then straight into some downward dogs, flattening down, trying to get that chest down, heels down, hold for 2 seconds. Lowering to the knees nice and gently, lifting up at the front. 2-second holds at either end, driving the hips up. Back down again, sliding it through. Make sure those shoulders are away from the ears. Lifting yourself up nice and high. We want 5 reps total. Nice and steady as we go. Driving back up again. Good. Next on the list, we want to go into some plank leg lifts. This time we're going to grab our good old stick and I want you to set it up on the back. So, placing the stick so that basically you're touching the back of the head, the middle of the back and the backside. So then when I set up into my plank position, I have that stick centered in that position. So then I've got those 3 points of contact constantly. So basically this allows us to really set a strong plank position, lifting one leg on one side, then the other. You want 20 of our plank leg lifts, maintaining those 3 points of contact. So I don't want, if my head's too high, then it's going to change the position. If I lift my bum or lift my backside too high, then of course that stick is just going to roll off. So if that's the case, just reset, placing that stick into that position on our back, nice and steady, making sure it doesn't tilt off, dropping down into a low plank position. And once again, we've got a set of 20 of our plank leg lifts. Maintaining those 3 points of contact as I go. Then we're going to keep hold of our stick because we're going to move into that top position. So same thing, hand into the small of the back here and the other hand just above the head, just so we can maintain that 3 points of contact. So then bending and extending through the hips, maintaining those 3 points. This allows us to really set a strong spinal position for our deadlifts. Nice strong midline as I push back, stand up nice and tall, pushing the stick away with my backside. As I go down, of course, if I round the back, then of course I'm going to lose those 3 points of contact. So really try to feel where that is, maintain. As soon as you finish that, we're going to change up the dynamic and make things a little bit tougher. So, keeping the stick or the broomstick on the body, we're going to draw the knee up. Same thing, except this time we're working one leg. So we want to maintain that same postural position as we try to keep our balance, working a set of 5 on one side before we change to the other side. So just from side on, as you can see, I'm maintaining that nice strong line, 3 points of contact as I kick back, working for a set of 5 per side. Cool? Last of all, place the stick on the ground. Then in a nice wide stance, we're going to work lateral weight shifts for a set of 10, keeping the chest up as I work from side to side, working for a set of 5 per side, 10 total. Okay guys, next up is our activation set. We're going to be doing some deadlifts, some bag drags and some glute bridges here. So grab yourself your broomstick, grab a bag and grab a chair, and you want to kind of set up kind of in front of a door frame. Of course, the bag and the chair you don't have to set up near the door frame. It's really just this deadlift pattern that we're trying to hone. So what I'd like you to do is grab your broomstick. Set yourself up basically so that your arms are sitting outside the legs. You're going to be working in a hip width stance and that bar starts touching the thigh. We then walk forwards towards our door frame so that the bar or that broomstick touches the top of that door frame. Then, locking in those shoulders, nice tall body posture, we push the hips back and then we sit into our deadlift. Standing up nice and tall, touching the door frame once again, we sink back, dropping down, and through. So the cool thing with this is it gives us some great feedback. If I bend the knees too soon, then I run the stick into the upright. Or you're going to find that the stick's going to hit the upright at any time. So focusing on hips go back, then we sit. You should never touch that bar to basically the wall at any time until you get back to that top position. Of course, we're working for 8 reps here. Nice and steady, touching the top and working that nice strong deadlift pattern. Next up, we're going to grab our bag. We're going to set ourselves up. So I'll move the chair out of the way just a little bit. I'm going to set up in the top of that push-up position. And I'm going to have my bag just to the side. Going with a nice wide stance, I'm going to grab that bag, pull it across, then reset. Pull it across, then reset. So it's very similar to our plank tap, except we're basically dragging the bag across the body, getting a good shoulder blade squeeze, and keeping those hips steady as I go. For our beginners, just drop down onto the knees, and from there, maintaining a nice strong body position as we drag that bag across, working for a set of 10 reps, 5 per side. Last of all, just move your bag out of the way, and then we're going to grab our chair because we're going to set up for a slightly different version of our glute bridges. So what I'd like you to do is set yourself up, basically lying on the floor, placing or setting yourselves up in a position where you've got your heels on the chair and we've got a 90-degree bend at the knee. So of course, if that was too far back there, then it's too far away. We want that 90 degrees. So just bring the chair in a little bit, 90 there, then palms facing up. We push our heels into the chair and we lift up nice and high into our glute bridge. Nice strong butt squeeze at the top. We're working for 10 reps. For our beginners, just go from the floor and work a regular glute bridge. If that feels fine and you're happy with that, then have a go at working on the chair. Of course, by elevating the hips and working that a little bit higher, also by pushing the heels into the chair, you're really going to get a lot more activation, increase the difficulty in terms of the load into those glutes and also the load into those hamstrings as we go. So once again, beginners, if that feels too difficult with the chair, just go back to the ground. We're doing 10 reps. So once again, folks, we've got our door-assisted deadlifts for a set of 8. We then have bag drags for a set of 5 per side. And then, of course, we've got our glute bridges for a set of 10. Guys, in our main set, we've got 3 deadlifts that we can choose from. Of course, if you're doing the level 2 or the 3 option, then we just want to make sure that we've triple knotted our bags just to shorten that handle, just to give us a little bit more range in our particular exercise. So with those handles, double them over, give it a big knot, then knot it again, and then you want to knot it that 3rd time, just allowing for a little bit of loop at the end. This is going to make a lot of sense when we get to our main set, but basically you want to shorten the handles by placing 3 knots in it, and then you can see that I've still got a little bit of loop there because that loop is going to end up going onto our broomstick. But if we just loop the handles as they are onto the broomstick, then it just creates extra length and doesn't give you as much range in that particular exercise. Today's strength set, folks, has 4 rounds of 3 exercises. Basically, we're working 10 reps of each of these exercises, working deadlifts, some chair push-ups, and some knees to elbow. Now, with our deadlifts today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different in that I'm going to give you 3 different levels to choose from. Basically working from our beginner level through to more of an advanced level at the end. Of course, this advanced level is actually pretty challenging, but we'll worry about that when we get to it. For this set, guys, you'll need both of your bags. You'll also need a broomstick and your chair. Now, to get things going, I'm going to highlight or go over our deadlifts first. So for our beginners, our level 1s, we're basically going to grab both of our bags. We're going to be setting up, basically standing directly over the top of our bags. Reaching down, we're going to grab hold, basically scruffing a big chunk of those bags in our hands, squeezing our shoulders on, and from there, standing up tall with a nice strong line from head to hip. Bending and extending through the hips. We're standing up tall for a set of 10 reps. Of course, side on, just making sure that we've got that strong line. So very similar to those broomstick exercises that we did at the start. We really want to make sure that we're maintaining that same line. So holding on tight, once again, shoulders go back, and we're standing up tall, keeping that strong line. So we're not rounding, we're not letting those shoulders fall forwards. Working for a set of 10. Now that's our level 1. Now our level 2 is a wide grip deadlift. So what's going to happen is we're going to use our broomstick here. We're going to thread our broomstick into one side of those loops. And as I mentioned just in that little intro before we got to the strength set, triple knot those handles just to shorten the length of those handles, just to give us a little bit more room. So as we go, we want to make sure looping that little end. Sometimes if we've knotted it quite tight, just if you need to use 2 knots, then that's okay. Otherwise, use 3 if you can. It's all about getting that little loop onto the ends of our broomstick. Basically, as we set up, so if you can see, this has kind of set us up like we've got our barbell. Be mindful that if we're using a lot of weight in those bags, if you're using like a really metal flimsy broomstick handle, then just be really careful because you can end up just bending and breaking that broomstick handle. The wood ones tend to be a lot stronger, and our setup is just going to help mitigate the effects of utilizing or working with a heavier style weight. So guys, when we set up, very similar to all the deadlift work that we do, that we've done in the past. The only difference here is we're going quite wide with our hand position. So we can slide these in. The wider our hands go, the harder it is. So I want my hands basically next to where the bag handles are. Now, make sure that we've got even distance between the sides, so we're not basically looking like this where, one bag's closer to us than the other. This is where we really need our bags to be of the same weight. Shoulders go on, chest stays up. From there, I stand up tall, pushing the hips back. We lower it down to the ground, then stand up nice and tall. Really working that nice wide position. The first thing you'll notice is due to that wide arm position, you're going to feel like the shoulders are going to get pulled forwards more. So you need to lock in. This is why this is our intermediate level of deadlift, because it requires more shoulder activation and a little bit more focus here. So side on, of course, locking in, bending and extending through the hips, standing up tall for 10 reps. Making sure that we're holding that nice strong posture. Now this last progression, level 3. Once again, this is quite challenging. You're going to find it's going to load up one side of the body quite dramatically. Now this is called an asymmetrical deadlift, which means we place either one or both bags. So the most difficult version of this particular exercise is we have both bags over to one side, but be mindful both bags can be quite difficult. Feel free to drop one bag off so we're only working one side. Now, same setup. Hands go outside, a little bit narrower in this. We're not going wide deadlift. Conventional, lock in those shoulders. And you'll notice straight away that the pull is gonna basically try to overbalance you here. So we need to switch on harder, lock in tighter through the middle. So then we're keeping that bar parallel to the floor. So if you're standing up and you feel like the bags are sliding off, then it means we're not engaging enough when we're not locking in to hold that bar horizontal. We need to keep that horizontal position. So locking in tight, standing up tall. This you're gonna do 8 on one side, then 8 on the other side. So we just turn it around to the other side. Locking in once again, you're gonna work 8 reps, bracing and holding tight to make sure that that bar stays nice and horizontal, but you're really gonna feel wherever that weight is on the end of that broomstick, you're really gonna feel that glute and that hamstring working on that particular side. So once again, that is our third option. So just to highlight, beginners, bag deadlifts. Intermediates, we've got our wide grip deadlift. And then of course, the last variation, our asymmetrical loaded deadlift, 8 per side, whereas the other ones are 4 sets of 10. Second exercise, guys, working some push-ups on our chair. We can really make this exercise basically as easy or as hard as we need. For those that can do push-ups normally, do your push-ups on the ground. Otherwise, beginners, basically our level 1, on the end of the chair, on the top part of the chair, in that tall position. Locking out the hips, we lower our chest down and pushing out. If you do find that the ends or it's a bit uncomfortable, place a towel over the end of that chair, so then it just helps the hands, so it's not so uncomfortable on the palms. Locking out those hips, keeping the arms close to the body, so we're not flaring the elbows. So if you're looking from the front, we don't want to be out here with our arms. We want close, arms close to the body as we do our push-up. Holding onto the hips, lowering that chest to the top of the chair. Level 1, turn the chair around for level 2. Working off those armrests of the chair. Same thing, we can take it down to the chair itself. Basically, the higher your body position, the easier it is. The lower the body position, the harder that push-up. But I want that chest basically down towards the hands in that bottom position. Of course, if we can do push-ups, then set yourself up on the floor. Same. Nice strong line, leading with the chest, working for 10 reps. So whichever level you do there, it's 10 reps regardless. So top of the back of the chair, down to the armrests or to the actual seat itself. So choose the angle that best works for you, keeping that strong line from head to heel all the way through. Last of all, guys, we're going to set up on the floor in the top of the plank position or the high plank, top of the push-up, working a set of knees to elbow. For beginners, just bring the knee through. Don't worry about having to bring it all the way through. Just basically bend the knee, bring it back, bend the knee, holding the hips steady as you go. For our more advanced members, try to bring it through to touch. But what I don't want to see is I don't want the hips going up and I don't want you moving or changing your body angle when you do this. Body is locked in, knee comes towards the elbow, working 10 on one side and then of course over to 10 on the other side. Really keeping that strong line from head to heel intact as you go. Remember guys, 4 rounds, working basically 10s of everything, unless you're doing those asymmetrically loaded deadlifts, which are 8 per side. Last up, folks, is our conditioning AMRAP. Of course, for our beginners, it's going to be 8 minutes, and for our regular members, we've got 12 minutes that's going to be on the clock. So set that timer going so you know how much time you've got. Of course, this is as many rounds as possible of 4 exercises. We're going to be working some burpees, some dead bugs, some knee drivers, and some bear touches in this particular set. Of course, I'm going to give you a couple of options in terms of the scalability for our beginners and our regular members here. So to kick things off, guys, we're working burpees. You're going to be working a set of 8 reps. Basically, everything is 8 across the board to keep things nice and simple. So burpees wise, remember, we want basically what we call our Spartan regulation burpees, which means chest to ground. We need to achieve full hip extension at the top, hands above the ears, and a jump as well. So basically our burpee, we drop down, chest goes to ground. We then stand up, full hip extension, drop back down again, chest touch, jump, leave the ground. Remember, nice tall posture. So basically what we don't want is just kicking the legs out and doing these little jumps. We want a full jump at the top. You don't have to jump a mile in the air, the feet just have to leave the ground. So chest to ground, nice and tall, working for a set of 8. For our beginners, just take it nice and steady. I want you to walk it up. So basically we're going from that tall position. We squat down into frog squat. We kick back, drop to knees, lower the chest, reset, stand up. I don't want you to jump, I don't want you to jump around, anything like that. We're working frog squat, kick back, knee touch, chest touch. Reset, stand up, back down, frog squat, kicking out, drop to knees, push up. So nice and steady as we go, working a set of 8 reps. So burpees for our regular members, and of course basically our walking frog squat to kick out to knees push up. Cool? Second exercise, guys, set yourself up on the floor, working some dead bugs. To get your dead bugs sorted, you want to roll your chest forwards. We maintain this, what we call a hollow body position. Chest comes towards the hips, upper back and shoulders off the ground. Then it's right leg, right arm. Then left and left. Right, right, left, left. Alternating as we go, keeping that chest rolled forwards, pushing the small of the back into the ground. We're working 8 per side, 16 total here. Once we finish that, we're standing up. We're working some knee drivers, 8 per side. So, step one leg back, touch the knee, spring up, touch the knee, drive that knee through, adding that little jump at the top. Working one side first, then drop the knee, drive the knee through, springing up, 8 per side. For our beginners, just nice and simple. Drop the lunge, stand up, knee lift. Drop the lunge, stand up, knee lift to slow things down and just to get that, just to handle and build a bit of strength in the hips and the legs at the same time. Last of all, guys, something a little bit different. Beginners, I want you doing plank taps. So setting up in the top of the push-up position. Nice wide stance, reaching up to touch the shoulders. We're working 16 taps, holding the hips steady. For our regular members, this is our bear touches. So what's going to happen is setting up like we're doing some bird dogs, except, well, I should say hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, then elevating the knees 1 inch from the floor. I don't want to see the hips come up all the way, they stay low. And from there, as I reach to touch the shoulder, I kick the other leg back. Reach, touch, whoa, keep your balance. Kick and touch. Kick and touch. So if you're looking more side on, so once again, knees stay elevated. We touch the shoulder and we kick back. Touch the shoulder, kick back. Always keep those knees under. So we're not back here. Knees stay underneath the hips. Cool? So once again, touch the shoulder, opposite leg kick back. Touch the left shoulder with the right arm, kick back with the left leg. Left to right shoulder, kicking right leg back. So it's a bit of a combo of our bird dog. Slightly different. Loading up, bracing against, rotation, working that core, and also you're going to get a bit of a burn in those quads as well. So once again, bear touches, 16 per side, knee drivers 8. I'm going in reverse order. I'll start again because I'll go from that start. Burpees for 8, working dead bugs for 16, 8 per side. Knee drivers, 8 per side, followed by bear touches for a set of 16 taps and kickbacks. Remember, beginners, frog squat to kickback to push up, working a set of 8, and basically our standing version of our knee driver where we reverse lunge and draw the knee through to the chest. Let us know how many rounds of that you get out in, of course, beginners working 8 minutes, and of course regular members working for 12 minutes. To finish the session, guys, we're going to finish up with a little cool down stretch. So set yourself up on the floor and we're going to draw those feet together. Try to bring your heels in as close to your hips as possible. Staying as tall as you can, we're going to push those elbows to the insides of the leg whilst holding on to the feet at the same time. So we're pushing down to open up those adductors, stretch out the groin, trying to get basically those knees and those legs down to touch the ground. Holding nice and steady as we go, trying to push down the whole time. The closer those heels are in, the more stretch you'll get. Then, once we've held for about 30 seconds, pull the chest down towards the feet and at the same time, pushing those legs a little bit further down to the ground with our elbows. So pulling and pushing at the same time, holding for a further 30 seconds. To really stretch out the insides of those thighs and those adductors. Next, guys, let's kick the leg out to the side, tucking the foot in. We want to keep this leg on the ground. Keep this butt cheek down, and we want to lean out, grabbing the leg, trying to get that chest down towards the knee. If you can, pull those toes back. We want to hold for about 30 seconds. Nice big breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Once you get 30 seconds out, reach the arm over the top, keeping that elbow facing the ceiling. We want to keep that nice big lateral bend going, working for a set of 30 seconds. Really try to resist the temptation to tighten up, to shallow breathe when you're stretching. Really try to get some nice deep breathing happening. Once we finish that 30 seconds, kicking over to the other side, swapping it over, kicking that other leg out, we're going to pull the body forwards, chest down towards the knee, pull the toes back if you can for 30 seconds, followed by arm up and over the top for another 30 seconds. Once you're finished there, kick the legs out nice and wide. We're reaching up tall. Take a breath in, breathe out as we reach forwards. Placing those fingertips, hold for 30, then gently push the elbows towards the ground to intensify that stretch for another 30 seconds. Last up, folks, just moving into the top of the push-up position. So finishing up with a couple of downward dogs. We're going to push back through the palms, lift the hips high, heels go down. Oh, relaxing, sinking into that stretch. Take a big breath in, lower to the knees, slide it through, breathe out as you come up. As you come up, we want nice straight arms and we want to push the shoulders down, lifting the body up. Hold, get a couple of nice deep breaths in. Then breathe in, lowering down, pushing back, driving the hips up, driving the heels down. Sinking, trying to get the chest lower to the ground this time, heels down a touch lower. Hold for a couple of big breaths before we control down to the ground, pushing through, lifting up, breathing out as you come up. Getting another couple of deep breaths. Sinking, letting those hips sink into the ground, lifting yourself up nice and tall. Finishing there, guys. Oh, feel free to relax. Hope you had a great session there, folks. We've covered some really good things as part of our session. Of course, we've got another strength session coming up on the Friday with Fraser. And then, of course, our Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays are our strength-focused days. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys are enjoying our online programming. Have a cracking day, and I'll see you next time.